People don't usually ruin their finances when they're young. When you're 25, you expect to be broke. When you're 35, you expect life to be messy. But the years that quietly destroy people's retirement plans are the years when life feels fine. Your early 50s, not because you suddenly forget how money works, not because you stop being intelligent, because you stop being alert. In your 50s, your experience. You survived layoffs, recessions, and probably at least one major surprise bill. You learn how to handle things. You built a life that runs on routines. And that's exactly the problem. Routines create comfort. Comfort creates autopilot. And autopilot is where the most expensive financial decisions get made. Because this decade has a weird combination that doesn't exist earlier. You still have time to build serious wealth, but you have less time to recover from mistakes. So if you're 51, 52, 58, 63, listen closely. The biggest threats to your retirement aren't complicated strategies. They're normal decisions that feel harmless in the moment. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 7 habits that sabotage people after 50 and the replacements that actually protect your future. No hype, no magic trick. Just the stuff that works. 1. Stop financing adulthood for people who are already adults. This is the quietest drain on retirement I know. It doesn't look like disaster. It looks like helping. A quick transfer because rent is short, covering a car repair, paying an insurance bill just this once, letting someone stay on your phone plan because it's easier, buying groceries for a grown child because prices are crazy right now, and it feels loving. It feels responsible. It feels like what good parents do. But if you do it repeatedly, it becomes a financial subscription you never agreed to. Here's the part that people don't like hearing. You cannot build a secure retirement while running a second household. And when you're over 50, helping can turn into a trade. There's short-term comfort in exchange for your long-term safety. You don't notice it month to month. You notice it years later when you realize you're behind, and catching up is suddenly difficult. So here's the rule I want you to adopt. Support growth, not dependency. If your adult child needs help learning budgeting, job hunting, negotiating salary, or paying down debt with a plan, great. Be involved. But if the help is simply covering consequences so they don't feel them, that's not help. That's delay. Here's what to do this week. Write a list of every type of support you give: money, bills, subscriptions, loans, anything. Then decide what ends and when. And when you talk to them, don't make it a fight, make it a policy. I love you. I believe you can handle your life. Starting on this date, I'm no longer paying for ongoing expenses. If there's a true emergency, we'll talk. But monthly support is over. That sentence is uncomfortable. It's also the sentence that protects your retirement. 2. Stop trying to be the smart investor in the worst possible way. If you want to lose money in a sophisticated looking way, here's the formula. Watch financial news daily. Feel informed. React to fear. Sell. Wait. Buy back later. It's not investing. It's emotional switching. And it's especially dangerous in your 50s because you start thinking, I can't afford a big drop anymore. So you do the thing that guarantees long-term damage. You exit during uncertainty, but uncertainty is the default state of markets. There's always something: elections, wars, inflation, rates, recessions, AI bubbles, housing crashes, banking stress. There's always a reason to panic. The real skill isn't predicting the next crisis. The real skill is staying invested through all of them. So I want you to stop asking, is now a good time to invest? And start asking, do I have a plan that works even when the market is scary? A workable plan is simple: diversified, low-cost index funds, automated contributions, a risk level you can tolerate without bailing out, rebalancing on a schedule, not on emotion. If you can't sleep at night because your portfolio moved, you don't need predictions. You need a better allocation. 3. Stop letting your spending be controlled by your environment. Nobody wakes up and says, today I will destroy my future by buying small luxuries. Instead, it's social. Your circle upgrades cars. You notice your own car more. Friends post trips. You feel pressure. Neighbors renovate. You start pricing countertops like it's a moral duty. And you tell yourself it's fine because you can afford the payment. But payments are how middle-class people stay middle class forever. Wealth is built by owning your choices, not by matching other people's lifestyles. Here's what I want you to remember. A lot of people who look successful are privately stressed. They don't have nice things. They have obligations. So do this exercise. Pick the last three treat yourself purchases you made anything. Then ask, did I buy this because it adds value to my life or because it helps me avoid a feeling? Avoiding feelings is expensive. And if you want a rule that works, if you can't buy it twice without changing your life, you can't afford it. Or stop treating health like a separate category for money. After 50, health is a financial strategy because poor health doesn't just cost medical bills. It costs options. It costs your ability to work when you want to. It costs your energy. It costs your mood and relationships. It costs your freedom to travel. It costs your ability to enjoy the money you saved. And the tragedy is this: most health decline isn't sudden, it's negotiated over years. I'll start next month, after this busy season. Once the kids settle, after the holidays, after the trip, then the first big event happens. And the comeback is harder than it needed to be. So here's the plan that actually works for real adults. Book the appointments you keep postponing. Pick one habit that's so easy you can't justify skipping it. Not a fantasy routine, a real one. Examples: 25 minutes of walking, 5 days a week, 2 strength sessions weekly, light is fine. One protein forward meal per day, stop drinking calories, consistent sleep schedule. It's not about becoming extreme, it's about staying capable. 5. Stop retiring into a life you didn't build emotionally. Some people work their whole life to afford freedom, and then they arrive at retirement and realize they feel empty because they built money and neglected connection. In your 50s, it's easy to let relationships fade. You're tired, you're busy, you're handling things, days turn into months and months turn into years. And then the kids are gone, the coworker friendships disappear, and you don't know who your circle is anymore. You don't want your retirement plan to be, now I'll figure out my relationships. Build them now while life has structure. Here's the simplest rule: one intentional connection per week. Not liking posts, not sending memes, a real phone call, coffee with an old friend, a planned date night, a walk with someone you care about. Put it on the calendar like a real appointment, because it is. 6. Stop confusing stability with loyalty in your career. In your 50s, job comfort can turn into a trap. You know the system. You know the people. You can do the work with your eyes closed, and that feels safe. But here's the reality: companies change fast, budgets change fast, leadership changes fast. And when cuts happen, tenure isn't always protection. So you don't need to panic. You need to stay prepared. Prepared means your resume is current, your network is active, your skills are growing. You know what the market pays for your role. Even if you never leave, having options makes you stronger. And if you discover you're underpaid, your next decade can look very different with one move. Your 50s are not the time to drift. They're the time to maximize your strongest earning window. 7. Stop thinking you'll catch up later. This is the one that ties everything together. People in their 50s still feel like they have plenty of time. And in some ways they do, but they don't have unlimited time. If you plan to retire in your mid-60s, your runway is not decades. It's a handful of years where every decision matters more. The scary part isn't that you're behind. The scary part is that delay feels harmless because nothing breaks immediately. You just quietly lose momentum. So here's what I want you to do today. Write down your current age, the age you want, financial independence, the number of years in between. That number is your remaining build phase. Now pick 3 actions you will complete in the next 30 days. Examples: I will automate retirement contributions on payday. I will cut one recurring expense and redirect that amount to investing. I will set a boundary with family financial support. I will update my resume and apply to 2 roles to test the market. I will walk 5 days a week for 25 minutes. Not goals, actions. Actions change outcomes. Because the real enemy isn't ignorance, it's delay. If you're over 51, you can still build an incredible future, but not with the same habits that created comfort. You don't need a secret strategy, you need stronger standards. Stop funding dependency, stop reacting to headlines, stop spending to impress, stop postponing health, stop neglecting relationships, stop drifting at work, stop treating time like it's guaranteed. You still have time if you start acting like it matters. If this hit a nerve, save this video, not for entertainment, for accountability. And if there's someone in your life who needs to hear it, share it with them. Not as criticism, as protection. Your next decade is going to happen either way. The only question is whether you design it or drift into it.